The next time you fucking touch me.
Hey, get in the car.
Sit in the car.
No, he doesn't get to touch me.
Okay,
sit in the car.
Follow, use the words of what these are hands. Hey,
drop the knife now.
Pull that up, honey. Yeah, Muslims, they're here in our country, in our country. Get out of my face, honey. Get out of my face.
Karens are infamous for being annoying and thinking they're above the law, but what happens when Karen speaks the wrong battle and tries to fight police officers? Here are 4 examples of this occurring, beginning with the case of Brandy McGowan on March 30th. Brandy was arrested in 2022 after she was spotted threatening individuals with a knife. At some point, there was a brick at a Florida Walmart. She decided the brick wasn't good enough and stole a pocket knife to wield instead. When an officer arrived, he found Brandy. Holding the knife, the cop was armed with his service weapon, but Brandy refused to drop hers. Randy seemed to blissfully unaware that the officer is pointing a gun directly at her and has a taser in broad view on his utility belt. In the circumstances, he is well within the authority to use it to subjugate and disarm. If he feels as though she's a danger to him and the civilians around him, clearly, she doesn't understand that. As she stands her ground and continues to threaten people with her weapon, backup arrives on the scene at this time, taking attention away from the initial officer for a little while, providing him with the chance to holster his firearm and use the taser instead in this circumstance. It's obviously much more preferable for the cop to use a non-lethal force, but it's dangerous to lower his weapon. While in a one-on-one standoff, the arrival of the other officers gives the perfect relief for him to switch to and deploy the taser. The taser does a perfect job of disarming Brandy and allowing the cops to put her in cuffs and detain her. After the Walmart interaction, she was taken to a local hospital for evaluation, where it was discovered she was somewhat predictably high on meth and had apparently ingested over 4 grams of the stuff before entering the store to cause her chaos back at the police station. It was also discovered that Brandy had a lengthy criminal record with charges, including burglary, kidnapping, and battery for this incident. She was hit with another charge of aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon, carrying a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. If this doesn't convince you not to take drugs, nothing will.
Drop the knife now. Drop the knife.
But this next case is a perfect example of how alcohol can have very similar effects. At least on Karen's, this officer was called to a bar on the night of August 11th, where there was an intoxicated woman allegedly attacking multiple people and causing a serious disturbance. The woman was quickly identified as Kristen Cabot, the wife of the previous mayor of the town, and someone who has clearly overstayed her welcome at the bar. Other patrons of this bar detail exactly what Christina has been doing to cause the disturbance, and it's clear she hasn't made herself popular. This is also the second time today that police have been called to remove her from a bar. She's been intoxicated nearly the entire day, so the police decided it's time to have a chat with her and get her back to the station. Christina lets the cops know that she believes the city of La Crosse, where they are, is out to get her. And her husband, evidently the police have investigated her in the past and dropped the case. But obviously there's something bigger at play here. Or at least that's what she's trying to insinuate in reality. Christina is extremely intoxicated and looking for any reason to blame someone else for the ruckus she's been causing, as well as a means out of this position. The police are told that Christina was politely asked to leave the bar multiple times, to which she violently refused, becoming both verbally and physically abusive, starting fights with anyone she could get her hands on. At one point, she even sat down in the middle of the bar and began kicking and screaming like a child. It was at this point the police were called to the scene. Because of everything that has happened thus far, the cops decide to put her in cuffs and honestly, take her to prison for the night. It's impressive that even while restrained, she still managed to make enemies on the way back to the car. She refused to cooperate and made her legs feeble, requiring officers to drag her. And even that wasn't the most annoying thing she did on this walk. After acting like this all night, you'd think it'd be time for her to drop the ACT back at the station, but she thinks differently, choosing to make the entire team's lives as hard as physically possible. Cops finally managed to get Christina into a wheelchair so they can properly bring her into the station, kicking and screaming all the way there. She was charged with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest as well as firmly placing herself on the bad side of pretty much every cop and civilian. In the entire town, Christina showed exactly how awkward Karens can make situations like this.
We're gonna put you in a wheelchair. Yes, you can. You're fine.
But the cop in this next case shows exactly how to handle them. This Karen had just been detained by police in a Walgreens after going on an extensive racist rant towards a group of Muslims in the storm. Has a plan to make the police's lives as difficult as possible, but this cop comes to put a stop to it. This cop managed to get her in cuffs and out the door in record time, but he still has to get her into the patrol vehicle and back to jail. And this Karen isn't going down easy in an act of extreme kindness. The group of Muslims she spat at and was racist towards decided not to press charges and ask the police to let her go. But somehow, even that isn't enough to stop this woman from running her mouth. This woman was incredibly fortunate to be led away with no charges, especially after everything she said on camera.
Muslims?
Oh my God. Yes. Go ahead.
Here we go. Oh, I love your garb. You look like a
But Sean Malarkey wasn't so lucky. Malarkey was arrested for domestic violence after hitting her ex-husband with her car. But when the cops moved in to arrest her, things immediately started to go south. Malarkey's behavior is erratic and her tone's aggressive from the off. Her children are in the back seat of the car, but this doesn't seem to affect how she handles the encounter, and things only get worse. Asking the cops who gave them permission to enter the property is a common tactic in situations like this one, but for the suspects, the reality is that the police are well within their rights to enter property uninvited. So long as they have a warrant with a second officer's assistance, Malarkey is removed from her car and cuffed. However, this is where things get even worse, even restrained. Malarkey's attitude does not change at all. The cop then smells alcohol on her breath, which may explain some of the bizarre behavior. She defies the officer's orders and tries to leave the vehicle, then makes a point to single out the cop who initiated the arrest. We see situations like this often where a suspect will target one member of law enforcement and use them as a scapegoat. This is typically followed by legal threats, so they're likely targeting the officer they feel they could best build the strongest case. However, this would not work very effectively. Malarkey then goes on to make a violent threat to the officer's attention to how quickly she tries to change the conversation after her most extreme threat. She continues to complicate the police's life by claiming to have difficulty getting out of the car, even though it's evident from her movements that she isn't. She blames the tape on her ankles and claims it's the cop's fault she tried to kick him down. She was charged with aggravated assault of an officer, an aggravated DUI. This was her third DUI, with a child passenger soon after this arrest. She was also charged with endangering the life or health of a child and violation of a bail bond, and received a misdemeanor charge for resisting or obstructing an officer.
Not.
Where's your phone at?
Get your. Do not touch me. Okay. Did I ever say you? Do you fucker do not touch me?
What do you think? Write it in the comments. If you enjoy true crime videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to see more.